Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are going to be taking a look at the Toys Battalion The Foe, aka Willem Dafoe's character of Norman Osborn from the Sam Raimi Spidey trilogy. Now I personally have been pretty darn hyped to get this guy in. Not just because I want a Norman Osborn, but because I'm curious to see the head sculpts that come with this figure on the Toys era Green Goblin. Now, I got mine from Comics Sanctorum. Do bear in mind this is a third-party, unlicensed, unofficial product. I have popped the link in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video. This is a review on a figure I picked up for my own personal collection. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe and bell notification icon, plus the join button for more info on channel memberships. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art, and it's very straightforward. An image of the figure himself in some very dramatic lighting up front, the Foe and Toys Battalion down below. The Foe on the side of the box, a rendering of his head sculpt, plus all of the warnings on the back. Now, I basically see this figure as the ultimate accessory pack for the Toys era Green Goblin. Number one, we are getting Norman Osborn, but we are getting some Toys era Green Goblin specific accessories. First in-hand impressions are surprisingly positive. I have seen some early in-hand pics, and I wasn't loving what I was seeing. Up top we do have one foam block and another down below. What we are going to do now though is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the parts and pieces. Now starting off with the display base first, it is done in the usual Toys Battalion style. It's rectangular, it's rather chunky, the Foe etched into a metal nameplate, using that Spidey font, a regular crotch grabber up on top, and flames. I'm not exactly sure why they went with flames and such a low-res image at that, but flames is what we got. They do give you two head sculpts, one of which comes with a fixed neck, whereas the other is meant for the Toys era Goblin, so it has no neck. We will look at that one in just a second. Now, from certain angles, this head sculpt is very good. The skin texture and the paint applications are there, but they aren't top tier. I would rank this middle of the road when it comes to third-party head sculpts. The hair looks just okay, it's kind of spaghetti-esque, and you can see a mold line that goes over the top. I will give you more thoughts on this head sculpt when we pop it on the body a little bit later on. The second sculpt though I feel is worth the price of admission. Now, I totally understand it's a very extreme expression, so it might not be for you. But it's definitely for me. I love the grin, I love the aggressive slanted eyebrows, and I think the likeness is improved over the normal head sculpt. Now, it doesn't actually have a neck connector, so I'm curious, how is this going to attach to the Green Goblin body? Now, you also get this headstand bust that you can display this head sculpt on, but I more think it's for the Goblin mask when you're not using it on the figure. And then it kind of makes sense to have in the display. When the Goblin's not wearing the suit, he could potentially be displaying a portion of it. The sculpt work is crisp and clean, it's a beautiful metallic green with some weathering over the top. Then down below you do have a wooden style stand. Now it's not actually wood, it's just sculpted and painted to look like wood, but it is a very convincing effect. You do also get two smaller accessories, one in the form of the Green Goblin serum. It's literally translucent green plastic with paint on either end. You also get a pumpkin bomb. Now this is done in the exact same style as Toys era's pumpkin bombs, meaning it's not entirely accurate. There should be some texture on the orange sections, it's supposed to be metallic, and this circular section up top should be green. But nevertheless, at least you do get some smaller accessories for Norman. Lastly, you do get an array of hands. These are your typical third-party hands. They aren't anywhere near as waxy and glossy, but they aren't painted as nicely as some that we've seen from other companies. You do have some shading on the knuckles, and for some reason this one has a very heavy-handed wash. It goes down into all the crevices, but it kind of looks like they've spilled coffee on this hand in particular. What we are going to do now, though, is get Norman himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And yeah, I guess Norman is something of a 1/6 scale figure himself. But is he a good one? I haven't quite decided as of yet. It's a very simple release. It's a regular body and he's wearing a black business suit over the top. It's probably not the last time you're going to hear me say that, because it's literally the best way to describe what this figure is. The head sculpt, though, is questionable. I like it, but we will be discussing it a lot more in a moment. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to you. Does this figure work in your collection? If you're going all out with your Sam Raimi trilogy display, then yes, this could probably find its way into said display. But if you're just sticking to main characters in their proper superhero suits, then I would understand if you're passing this guy up. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now, let's be honest, this is a relatively simple figure. It's a true type body with a 3-piece black business suit and a long winter jacket. That means this head sculpt is going to be doing all of the heavy lifting. And that it does. I really like it. That doesn't mean it's the best head sculpt I've ever seen, but it's also not the worst. From some angles, the likeness to Willem Dafoe is stronger than others, but for the most part, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, comparing it to the smiling head sculpt, that one is still my favourite. But unfortunately, because there is no neck, whereas the standard head sculpt has one permanently sculpted on, this is not compatible with this suited body. Speaking of the suit, it looks really good. It's not overly big and it's not overly bulky. He does have the black long winter jacket over the top with some very shiny red lining on the inside and underneath the flaps for his pockets. You also have some wires running along the edge and along the bottom. Underneath that, a regular black suit jacket and then a regular black suit vest. It is attached with Velcro, so if you wanted to, you could absolutely remove it. You do have a fiery red tie and a blue shirt underneath that vest. Now, coming down to the pants, they do hug the body, and they come down to a very interesting hem. They've been folded over the top and sewn in place. I'm not exactly sure if that's super accurate. I will have to go back and check the movie. But if it isn't, that's a rather interesting detail to add. He also has some higher topped black boots with some sculpted in stitching and the laces around the front. You do have some sculpt work on the underside, but no paint applications, they're just cast in black plastic. He also, for some reason, doesn't have any socks underneath. So yeah, as I said, a simple release, but I think Toys Battalion have done a pretty good job. Well, you know how earlier I said this was basically an upgrade set for the Toys era Green Goblin? Well, I now take that back. When you try and use this awesome smiling Willem Dafoe head sculpt on the Toys era body, you simply can't. There's no neck connector, and because the hole is smaller than the neck, it can't actually slide down on top of it. I'm sure with some modding and switching out of neck pieces you can get this done, but out of the box it simply isn't compatible, and even if you balance it on there, yeah, that looks incredibly goofy. Plus, if you do decide to do some modding and change this neck out, then you can no longer use the helmet. I think the best way of doing it will probably be to widen this neck connector so it can slide down over the top. But as it stands, yeah, this simply doesn't work. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have Norman Osborn by Toys Battalion on the left and the Toys era Fiend on the right. And as you can see, there is a height difference here. But the question is, why? They're supposed to be the same character. There should not be a height difference. At the very least, if the Goblin was the taller of the two, then okay, maybe you can get away with it. But the civilian version is the taller one? That to me just makes no sense at all. Even though they are manufactured by Toys Battalion and Toys Era, don't let that fool you. They are both the same company. It's all Toys Era. So if you're using one body for Goblin, then in my opinion, you should be using the same body for your Norman. At the end of the day, now I don't really love the idea of displaying these two standing together. Next up, here we have the Thunder Toy Spidey, a figure that I think is dramatically underrated. And as you can see, he is shorter than Norman. Now this I'm okay with. Norman is a fully grown adult where even though Tobey Maguire was in the movie, he was also playing a high schooler, so he's meant to be a little bit shorter. At the end of the day, it is all down to personal preference. And let's be honest, this Norman is a very large figure. And just one more to drive that point home. Here we have upgraded suit Spidey, aka Tom Holland. And he is a relatively short dude. This again makes perfect sense. If you're a fan of your villain characters, even in a three-piece suit being this big imposing presence in the collection, this is totally going to work for you. But if you're only picking this guy up for the smiling head sculpt for your Toys Era Fiend, then maybe Norman isn't one that's going to make it in the display. I am curious, do you like how tall this guy is? Let me know down below. Just going over articulation. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I am willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a ball joint at the base of the neck. Looking forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go up to there. They will go forward and back to about there. They are on soft ratchets, and don't forget you do have multiple layers to contend with. Butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep. Double bend at the elbow that is on ratchets and gets you past 90, plus a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. The torso will crunch forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The legs go forward to there, go out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, ratcheted double bend at the knee that does get you past 90, and of course a double ball peg down here for the ankle. Just wrapping up on the Toys Battalion The Foe, aka Norman Osborn from the Sam Raimi films. Now going into this, I was really excited, but at the end, I can't help but feel a little bit let down. Not because the figure is bad from a technical perspective, but because there is so much wasted potential. Now starting off with Norman himself, I like the body, it's suitably sturdy and well articulated. The outfit hugs said body in all the right places, it's a high quality fabric and there are wires in the jacket. Then we get to the head sculpt. I like it, but I totally understand if you don't. From certain angles, the likeness is a little bit lackluster, but from others, I can definitely see Willem Dafoe. As for the accessories, you don't get a ton, but they are essential ones. However, with all of that being said, Norman is just too tall. When you pair him up alongside himself in the form of the Green Goblin, Norman towers over him, which isn't really how it should be. So that's immediately a red mark in this guy's ledger. However, the biggest crime is the smiling head sculpt. Not only is it not compatible with Norman's body, but it's not compatible with Goblin's either. In the promo pics, they literally showed the Goblin wearing that head sculpt, yet they give you no replacement neck, no additional neck connectors, they don't even tell you how to put it on there, because you straight up can't. Unless you want to do some modifications, you're SOL. That head sculpt is not going on that body. So you're just going to be relegated to displaying it on the bust, which might not be a bad thing, but for me, I was really excited to put that head sculpt on that body. And that's why I feel a little bit let down. Now, I got mine from Comic Sanctorum. Do bear in mind this is a third-party, unlicensed, unofficial product. I have popped the link in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video, this is a review on a figure I picked up for my own personal collection. While you're down there, if you do like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews, check out the join button right next to that subscribe icon for more info on Justin's Collection Plus Max, the channel memberships. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.